Welcome back to another episode of the Autonomy Pods podcast, and we are again in the Las Vegas content studio with our boy Chris. And today we have a little bit of a special guest. We've got the man, the myth, the legend, Shekar in the building. And we've got obviously Sirish in the building too. And we're really excited to deep dive into these conversations. We have so many questions to the point that we didn't talk about them over lunch because we wanted to speak about them on the podcast because we don't want to have the same conversation twice.
It's like everyone just sit in silence. Okay, we got to save it for the pod.
It was like, oh, no, just shut up. Eat your beef Wellington and shut up.
It was good beef Wellington.
Yeah, it was. Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen got beef Wellington. It was absolutely fantastic. So what we're going to do is go through a little bit about what Shek's done, how well he's done, and about the experience of today, and then just kind of delve into some topics and just riff from there. So, dude, thank you for coming on the pod. Really, really excited to kind of have a conversation today. So let's just dive right straight into kind of why we're sitting in this room today. So, like, what have you done in the last 12 weeks, and how's that been for you?
Well, I mean, I joined your program in the last 12 weeks, and you know, I think initially I had a physical goal in mind, you know, when we first talked, but quickly it transformed into a kind of a spiritual journey for me, and it was mental and physical, and now I think the mental benefits of doing this journey have far outweighed the physical benefits. I mean, I've seen the physical benefits. Obviously, the proof is in the pudding, but I think it's kind of been profound for my life in many ways. So.
Yeah. Okay. And then what were those benefits that you got? Like, where were you when you started, and then where are you today?
You know, I don't think I was necessarily in a bad place when I first started, but I think, you know, I think my energy levels just pretty quickly boosted. And because of that, and because the structure of the program was regimented, it kind of forced me to be that much more organized in the other aspects of my life. You know, when you're expected to do 60 minutes of stair stepper every day, and when, you know, lift 3 times a week and do X amount of steps per day, you have to really make time for that, which means you have to really be organized about everything else that you do. And and then on top of that, the nutrition regimen.
Yeah.
So it forced me to level up.
Interesting. And then when you first started, or before you started, like where were you physically? Like what was your body weight? And then like what were you doing for your own workout? So I know Orange Theory, you know, my opinion on Orange Theory, but like what were you doing?
I don't know your opinion on Orange Theory.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
No, I did a post on Orange Theory about 2-3 weeks ago, based on the conversations that like we've had, and then people that subsequently have followed your journey then came in a conversation with me. Yeah. It's always the same pattern. It's just like, I'm struggling to lose weight. I'm paying my money to Orange Theory, not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
And obviously it's basically the biggest thing that I see in the differences between the US and like UK is like UK people know their food is shit, and like they know it's that's the bigger issue. But for people in the US, the people I've spoke to, they think their nutrition is fine, but then they think it's all about the workout. Then they go to Orange Theory and they go and do the little jumpy jacks or whatever they're doing. I don't know. I've never been. And they're searching for the best workout to burn the fat.
Yeah.
And then I have to talk people off a ledge because they're like, oh, what's the workout regime? I'm like, you've got bigger problems to fry. Yeah. So
it is a theory after all. It's not a theory.
Well, and the thing is, like, I think one of the bigger things that I learned from this is you can never outwork a bad diet.
Can't outwork a bad diet. No. My favorite.
Well, boy, you can try.
You can, and so that's I think I fell into that mindset. Orange Theory wasn't bad in the sense that like it gave me an outlet for my stress, but I don't think it contributed. I've tried everything. I've had trainers, I've had personal trainers, I've had Orange Theory. I've been into fitness for many, many years. It's not that I was complacent, but I never got the results I wanted. And that nutrition component was huge. It was huge. And then also, I think Sirish and I were talking about this earlier, just steps, right? Making sure you hit a step count, that continuity. But yeah, the nutrition was everything. So,
interesting.
I mean, that's how I felt. Orange Theory, like I don't know that I cared for it or I didn't care for it. I just know that I felt like I got to work out every time I did it.
Yeah.
And that, I guess, meant something.
Yeah. And ultimately, like business models, I look at the business model, I'm like, fantastic. One Rebel, F45, Barry's boot camp, they all help you create a feeling, which means that you want to go back for that feeling again and again and again. It's amazing for continuity, retention, longevity, and it's absolutely fantastic meaning of training. But as we spoke about, I think we spoke about on the pod yesterday, is that most people don't go to Orange Theory to just do a workout. They go with the hopes and dreams and desires that that's going to make them in the physique that they want. So they end up having this desire that the physique is going to change because they're going for that particular workout.
Right.
They've attached that feeling that they're getting with the hopes and desires of results as well. So
I just remember like after Orange Theory, we'd go straight to like happy hour. That's the culture in Chicago, right? It's like you go to, it's like Sunday morning. You're like, all right, let's do Orange Theory and then grab brunch. And you justify that brunch because you went to Orange Theory.
Orange Theory is a bunch of bullshit, man. I'm not losing any weight.
I will go to happy hour afterwards.
But that's the thing is like we sit here and reward ourselves. Not it's almost as if we're like, I earned this brunch. You didn't earn anything. It's you need to. What I've learned is like you've got to focus if you want to get where you need to go. You've got to give up certain things. And I gave up a lot these last 4 months, but I don't even think about it as giving it up. I just because it's made me better, and I don't think I'll ever like be like a drinker again. Honestly, like I don't know. I hope maybe I will, but I hope I don't.
Ask Shekar tomorrow after we go out tonight.
Exactly. We are going out tonight. I think Ludacris is on.
Good Omnia.
So it's obviously really interesting because majority of the way through the journey when we were speaking, the weight loss was doing what we call the Picasso graph, which is where it just goes down and down and down.
Yep.
But every single time we were speaking, there was more clarity in mind and more clarity in body and more clarity in the desires and things that you were cutting out, choosing to do, choosing not to do. So what was that choice that happened? Like, what was the biggest things that you pulled on to make sure now this next step that we go on afterwards is, I don't know, still beneficial towards that spiritual health kind of vibes?
Well, I mean, I have so many life goals, and I'm trying to personally like be the best lawyer be the best son I can, be the best brother that I can be, best friend, and be the best attorney for my clients. And be the best entrepreneur. And there's just so many things that I want to do. And I think my health and wellness is just such a core part of that. Yeah. And, I talked about this with one of my buddies who's an ex-Marine, and, he wanted so badly to be in the Marines and serve. And that's a really rigorous boot camp. It's really rigorous to even, be in the U.S. Marines and serve. And one thing that, he and I would always talk about is any goal you have in mind is like, how badly do you want it? Yeah. You can say, it's like, do you want it or do you need it? Like for me, it was like, I need to be successful. I need to be the best attorney, have the best law firm. And if it just doesn't fall in your lap. Yeah. So if you want to be in the best mindset and best shape, you just have to say, I'm doing it. And like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. And the more I was seeing my results, the more I was going into my journey, the more I was like, this is a no fucking brainer. Yeah.
And it's actually one of like the most selfless things that you can do. Yeah. Like in order for you to be that best son, best brother, best attorney, best entrepreneur, this just spills over into every aspect of your life. Because how many analogies can we make, that fits into the context of fitness? Showing up every day, whether you feel like it or not, putting in the reps, consistency over time. What can't you achieve if you apply that?
Here's one for you. What's the word? Fuck. The word is, what's the word when you're like impulse control, right? So as like a entrepreneur or someone that runs a business, right? Or as a person that's got so many things that's flying on their desk, having impulse control on like the discipline around food, the discipline around regimen of your routine, that impulse control then manifests onto your entrepreneurship. It's like there's going to be things that are exciting, new, flashy. Yeah. But the boring stuff around entrepreneurship is then only the stuff that you probably should do. And that I always found for me when I dieted, the more I got less impulse control because I was desired in this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm having it, the more my decision making in business became much more thought out and less about flashing from this standard, this standard. So for me, that was a massive one.
I feel like you just gain a lot of balance, like across the board, when you commit to something like this. So,
yeah. So talk us through, like, how did you set your day up to do all these things? Because, you know, we didn't start with the high levels of cardio.
Yeah.
We just had that in for the goal of obviously doing a photo shoot in Vegas.
Yeah.
So when we had our call together and we set out the plans, what was the first thing you did after you received those plans to make you get off the start straight away?
Well, I mean, so I was telling Sirish this yesterday. It didn't happen overnight because I looked at your document. I was like, and of course you were so helpful in walking me through it. But it's a lot, right? It's especially going from someone who got Uber Eats at like 1 o'clock in the morning because he felt like it, to, you know, eating Indian food and pizza and then wondering why the Orange Theory didn't work.
I have a theory.
You know, I was your classic, you know, Midwestern East Coast, like, you know, come back at 2 a.m. and on a Friday night, get pizza, pass out, and then go to Orange Theory and be like, oh, I still have a gut. I wonder why that is.
Right.
So your question, how did I go about it? Well, it started out a little slower. And then as I got into it, I got more systematic about it. Quite frankly, I'm very like all or nothing with everything I do. So I decided this is what I'm going to do. We set December 9th as the date. And I'm like, I treated it like I was studying for studied for the bar exam. I just was like, I have to set a schedule. So I just set a absolute schedule, and I decided the grocery store I was going to, I signed up for Lifetime Fitness, and I just was like, this is it. And whoever friends of mine are on board. And if they want to stop being my friend because I'm not drinking around them or I'm not, you know, whatever, I'm like, to hell with them. Yeah. So that's what I did. I was like, you either wish well for me or you don't. And so I went and grocery shopping, and I started meal prepping. And then the more I meal prepped, the more I started grocery shopping, the more I just got into it. Mm-hmm. And I would wake up every morning at 5:15. I would make my breakfast, lunch, and snack because I got court and everything. So I needed to figure out a way that I could make that work. And then I would make it every morning and then pack it. And then evening I'd come back around like 7, 8 o'clock. I would make my dinner. Then I'd go to Lifetime and then stay there as long as it took to get it done. Mm-hmm. And then I'd come back, rinse, repeat.
And
every day.
How did that deadline affect your psychology of having the deadline at the end?
You know, especially because like, you know, I really, I feel like it's a privilege to have all the followers I have, you know, and it's something that kind of fell into my lap after Indian Matchmaking, and it's not something I take for granted one bit. Yeah. And I think I made this announcement in like August or whenever we talked. And the cool part about the people that follow me is it's a symbiotic investment in each other. Like they're invested in seeing my outcomes, but I'm invested in making them proud. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I didn't want to let you down. I didn't want to let my followers down. And I really didn't want to let myself down. I was like, I really want to do a good job. And I'm like, again, it comes back to how badly do you want it? How like, where's that fire in your belly? And I just had this burning effing desire to just, you know, I never had a six pack in my life. I still don't, but you know, I'm well on my way.
Yeah, it's fucking close.
You know?
Yeah. But that accountability is like the secret sauce, right? I mean, we all need that. We all need that accountability. So Indian Matchmaker was obviously, you know, a huge experience in your life, and obviously wildly successful show in our South Asian community and beyond, like smash hit, right? So you have this, you know, platform now, and have this like public presence, and you must have gotten, I don't know, what was like the overall like feedback that you got? I'm guessing it was overwhelmingly positive, but I'm guessing there was some negative comments as well. Could you kind of speak to that a little bit?
I think I kind of lucked out on the show in the sense that I didn't really get too many negative comments, and the comments that I did get that like could be perceived to be negative weren't like super negative.
Yeah.
I would say people largely after season 1, they're like, "Oh, you're a nice guy,"
Yeah.
like, you know, gentleman and all that stuff. After season 2 it was a ton of sympathy, a lot of sympathy in the sense that like it's nice. People were very nice to share their words of encouragement and sympathy. But honestly, I got over my own feelings pretty quickly and I moved on pretty quickly. But then, you know, from filming, you know, that infamous bridge scene where they left me jilted or whatever, you know,
Right.
Between then and when the show actually came out, it was a good probably 8-9 months. And I was fine at that point. And then all of a sudden everyone's like, are you okay? Are you okay? Oh my God, that was horrible. Like, are you feeling okay? If you hear it enough, you start believing it again.
Yeah.
And then you're like, yeah, maybe I should be feeling maybe worse. I am sad. And so I wouldn't say that was negative. I mean, that was one instance where I kind of got down. Yeah. And then maybe another instance where like, again, not negative, but you had all these Reddit articles that were like, maybe he's gay. And I'm like, I don't see that as a negative comment. Cause I'm like, I don't see homosexuality as something that's negative, but
I'm black,
but I'm not gay. So like, you know, that, and you know, there's just all sort of weird comments. People like, he comes from a South Indian Brahmin family. So, you know, Tamil Brahmins are conservative, blah, 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 blah. And so maybe he's having a hard time coming out but I'm like, my parents are the most liberal people. Yeah. If there were 2 South Indian parents to come out to, it's my parents. like, I mean, I could bring
a waste.
I could be gay and bring home a black guy, and my parents would be like, "When's the wedding?" So,
that's amazing.
You know, like, so it's just stuff like that. I mean, I don't see that as negative. I see it as stupid.
Yeah,
you know. But that's the extent of the comments that I got. So.
Did you get any like pushback from the people in like your life, your family and friends for like being on that show in the first place?
No.
Okay.
I have the most supportive family and friends. Yeah. So no pushback at all. Yeah.
So I guess where I'm going with this and tying it back to fitness, did you get any pushback from people going through this weight loss journey?
So not from my parents. Again, my parents were extremely supportive. Nathan, you know this. I was during Thanksgiving, you know, we had this huge spread and everything. And my parents already told all the aunties and uncles and everyone, like, don't bother him. He's on his own thing. We're going to cook him his own meal. Like, don't make any comments. And nobody did, you know, because my parents had my back, like, totally. The people that I got the pushback from were the people in Chicago. Some people, I had some really close friends that I just kept in an inner circle that I'm like, these are the people that trust my judgment and aren't going to, you know, give me a hard time because they know I'm a smart person and I know what I'm doing and I'm trusting my process.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it's always a tertiary weird people that like, you know, who knows what they're projecting onto you that are like, you know, I was telling you maybe earlier today or yesterday, there are people that were like, you're becoming too skinny. I'm like, oh, now you care? Like, I mean, like, you know, they're like, you're getting a little too skinny or you're looking frail or you're looking, you pick your svelte.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, I'm like, okay. And that bothers you. Why? Like, and now get in their face. I'm like, what is it to you if I get skinny?
Right.
And, you know, what is skinny? Right.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, so you have to kind of drown out the randoms. I think. At least in my life, I had to drown out the randoms.
Are these like aunties and uncles?
No,
or
people
like,
our age.
Oh, people our
like
age.
born and raised in the United States, you know.
That's
and I had a major urge to be like, maybe you should focus on your fitness. But, you know, I don't want to get to that level.
Yeah,
because it's not me.
Right. Yeah,
like,
I mean, that's actually, I would say more of a unique experience than I think like most South Asians like going through this, where they get a lot of pushback like from, you know, their families. I think so many like South Asians growing up, it's like eat, you're too skinny, eat, you're too skinny, eat, you're too skinny until you're fat. And then it's like,
you're fat.
Yeah. Why are you so fat? It's like, you told me to eat this. You told me to eat this. Same thing with like relationships, right? It's like, don't have a boyfriend, don't have a girlfriend, become a doctor, become this, become that. And then you're like 30, 40 years old and you're like, not married. And they're like, why aren't you married? It's like, you told me this.
No, I come from a very liberal family, so luckily that wasn't my experience at all. Yeah. And during the holidays, even my nieces and nephews were supportive. My sister, my brother-in-law, they were all just like, they didn't make me feel guilty for going to the gym. And the reason I chose Lifetime was because there's just locations everywhere, and there's one right next to my parents' home in Cincinnati. So yeah. So, but I think honestly, the bigger pushback I got was from like just Indian American peers. Yeah. In Chicago. And who knows, maybe it's because they wanted some sort of journey of their own. But it honestly takes so much commitment. I mean, you have to not go to the bar and watch football for 4 hours on Sunday.
Right.
And drink like pints and pints of beer. I mean, not to look down on that experience, because I'm a big football fan and I'm a big sports fanatic, but you have to give that kind of stuff, or you have to just go there and drink Diet Coke the whole time.
Right.
If you want better than me, but I mean,
you just have to change what your relationship with that place is.
Yeah.
So, whether it's you go there and every single time, your pairings, as we like to say, if your pairing is football and beer, then we just have to look at, well, how many are you having?
Right.
Right. And if you're obviously going for the faster route, like we did for our shoot, then it is a case of like, well, what's the worst case scenario of giving this up for a short space of time to be able to achieve something absolutely phenomenal? And I think that's the concept. It's like, if you can still pair it with something that you're used to, whether that is the Diet Cokes, whether it is the 2 Coors Lights, or, because we're in America, or 2 Coronas, and then you can have that, right? So,
well, and the best case scenario is your sleep gets regulated.
So underrated.
I mean, like, after I gave up alcohol and added sugars and stuff for these 3 or 4 months, my clarity is just
started having dreams again.
It's amazing. Like, I mean, it's just like the clarity in thought. Yeah. Like, it was very profound.
Yeah, people don't recognize the sleep and alcohol, the mismatch.
Yeah.
It's like, you can never doesn't matter if you just touch touch a part of alcohol, or you're drinking 7 pints. The outcome is still the same from a sleep deprivation perspective. Not only is the alcohol lifestyle normally situated in the evenings, in the night times where you probably should be sleeping, the second part of it is that as soon as you have alcohol, you cannot get into deep sleep. Mm-hmm. So you're by proxy always going to wake up more groggy, in a position of like medium sleep, never be able to get that deep rested sleep, which means that tomorrow you're going to be craving more. You're going to be at less energy. You're going to then probably rely on more food to pick yourself back up, more caffeine. And then you're in that vicious cycle again.
Yeah.
So
100%.
from a nutrition perspective, then, like, is there any tips that you have? Because we spoke a little bit about water and your hydration yesterday. Yeah. So is there any tips? And I'm asking this with a smile on my face because I actually know the answer already and it's fantastic. But like, is there any particular strategies that you use to keep hydrated, and anything different than just utilizing normal water, let's say?
Yeah. So Sirish and I bonded on both being South Indians. And
I didn't get the opportunity to do that. I was pushed out, unfortunately.
No, but hey, you're an honorary
racist. Yeah, racist.
Yeah. No. Just don't do that brown face stuff. Don't do that Justin Trudeau on us.
And I don't know I think North Indians have like garam masala and things like that, but we have putties, which are very unique to like Tamil Telugu, like Malayali culture, and there's just only so much fucking water you can drink every day without like wanting to poke your eyes out. So, and I don't want to just drink like gallons of Diet Coke, and I'm already a coffeeholic. So what I would do is, and everyone thinks this is absolutely gross, but I think it's phenomenal. You take like sambar putty or like rasam putty, and you take a scoop of it, you put it in your water, and then you put some salt in it, you shake it up. That got me through many evenings.
God damn.
Because I can't drink coffee.
I've never heard that.
It's so good. I ran out, but try it.
Wow. If you're listening, Gatorade,
Some
new flavor, Russum flavored Gatorade. Garam masala, new from Gatorade.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. It's great. And so when I go to sleep, I would just like put a little hydro flask of water and Russum putty and shake it up. I'd put some salt in it. In the middle of the night when I was thirsty, I just drink that.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, that's a new one.
Take it to Cook County Court.
Yeah.
Sambar water.
What's the secret to my success? Russum. Sambar, baby.
Is there any other weird things that not weird, but
It's fine, man. Another weird thing that I saw that you raised your eyebrow the other day, I would take because I'm always in a rush. I feel like. I'm a classic litigator. I'd take my protein powder and I'd put it in my coffee.
That I've heard.
Mixed it.
That I've heard. Yeah. That's.
It just makes me shudder every time. It's more because if you're using good coffee beans, which I would, I get my own. I think that's a waste of good coffee beans.
Right.
But if you put it in with the Starbucks, I can imagine it would be all right. You know.
I put it in my Nespresso. Okay. And,
I'm not mad at that. I'm not as mad at that. Yeah. I do like coffee, but on its own too. But
that was a weird thing. I think it's something that was cool that I did with one of your things. I'd take the for the snack portion of the day. I'd take the Greek yogurt, the peanut butter, and the banana, and I'd mash it all together, and then I'd freeze it in the morning.
Yeah, that's a little ice cream.
Okay. And I turned it into a little bit of a popsicle.
Yeah,
okay, I'll take that one. Yeah, that's good.
That's good.
Yeah, you can do a lot. I've seen a lot of things coming out now about putting that type of stuff in an ice cream maker. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm going to get one when I get home. Protein powder, milk, yogurt, berries, banana. Put in an ice cream maker. Whip that all up and it becomes.
I would
look forward to it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I think if you're going off that, like having food that you enjoy, or like at least have those little tricks and tips to make it nice, become an easier way to manage the journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think at one point, as of like starting a month and a half ago, my meal prep became so organized that honestly, like for every meal, I was just assembling. Like I was just putting it together, either throwing an air fryer on the pan. My meal would be done in like 7 minutes.
Yep.
It was so easy. Meal prep is like the most underrated thing.
Super underrated. It seems like in the beginning, like it's like, oh, who's got the time? But like once you get into it and get it down to a science, and you're like, oh, this is saving me so much time actually.
And money.
Yeah.
It's like not everyone has to do it, but what's the alternative? It's either in preparation or it's in time creating 3 dishes a day. And if you do that for the whole family, that's going to be 45 minutes of time. That's going to be 2 hours or 3 hours worth of just for food. Mm-hmm. And if you did that once, the food doesn't get less fresh if you do it in the morning versus the evening, right?
Yeah.
Even one day, I don't notice the difference. It's 2 days for me. Like I can notice a little bit of difference, and that's when I'll start freezing stuff versus not. But I think if you're like so poor on time, but you have this infinity to like hot food and making sure it's fresh, I think that would probably something you just want to, I guess, challenge your belief system on, right? Like if you want time, cool. But if you don't have the time, then you're going to have to do something to still make it work, right?
Well, I mean, the easiest way that I found was I'd buy all my vegetables, chop them all up on Sunday, and then bag them. And then you cook them as you go, right? And
sous chef Sunday. Yeah,
exactly.
Just sew it up.
Exactly.
Shekar sous chef.
Yeah.
That's a tongue twister.
Sous shakes.
Yeah. I like it.
Sous shakes.
Yeah. But yeah, even like just like, marinating stuff for a few days. If you want to do like a hybrid of that, and it's like not cook everything ahead of time, and then it's like, who wants to like reheat, the chicken or the tofu or whatever it is, like just have it marinated. And, whether it's air fryer or pan fry or whatever, we're talking minutes. Dude, like you already have it set up.
Air fryer is the most brilliant thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't even have to put oil in there.
Right.
It's amazing.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Money.
So then in terms of like what, as you were going through the journey, there was obviously some times where body weight was not really gone down. I think it's really important to speak about this because a lot of people struggle with, body weight not doing the thing you want it to do. Mm-hmm. So tell me about that roller coaster of a journey as you were putting in, quite simply, unbelievable effort and you weren't seeing the reward on the scale all of the time. Tell me about that journey.
It's tough. It's really, really tough. And you know, I've been through rigorous academic journeys, like it's law school, bar exam, things like that, where I've mentally become used to intermittent failures. But in this is a whole new universe for me. And it's really hard. I mean, you've got to have like major grit to get through it. And of course, with guidance, right? I mean, I think you reassured me that it's normal to put on 2 pounds in a week, despite the fact that you're in the gym all the time. Right. And, cause there were days where I'd wake up and be a certain weight and I'm like, yeah, I'm crushing it. Then the next day put on 4 pounds or whatever, 2-3 pounds. Yeah. And I'm not a scientist, right? I'm just a lawyer and I don't know these things. I don't know how the body works. And so, had I not texted you freaking out, then you'd be like, hey dude, just chill out. It's fine. Like, I probably would have given up many times because it's not, these kinds of things mess with you.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, stuff like that is not common knowledge, really. Like if you don't, why most people aren't weighing themselves every day. But if you did, and then you start to look into, okay, this variability is normal. It depends on, okay, how much sleep did I get last night? Am I stressed out? How much carbs did I have? How much salt did I have? Am I on my menstrual cycle? Not me, but
but me.
That's what they're saying on Reddit.
Yeah,
that's what they're saying on Reddit anyway.
Yeah, exactly. That website's stupid. I would not be upset if they shut them down.
Fuck you, Reddit. That's so funny. That is so funny. But yeah, I mean, there's so many other metrics though, right? Other than just your scale weight. It's easy to get obsessed about that. And this is, what I try to talk my clients off the ledge all the time, if they're doing all the right things, but it's like, okay, well, how's your mood? How is your energy levels? How are you sleeping? Like, how are your clothes fitting? Right. All these other things that we're not necessarily putting a number next to, but are arguably way more important. I think is really important to talk about that.
Yeah. And there's so many scenarios where that hyper focus leads to irrational decisions or giving up. Like I've had conversations with people before in which they would rather be a specific body weight than fit into a specific clothes size.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the opposite. Like they would rather look worse with the right scale weight than look the way they want to with the wrong scale, like the right scale weight.
Right.
I think that was me.
Yeah.
And that was me throughout the journey. I think, I don't know if it's society or if it's just something we're conditioned to, but I think that I still might be like that to a certain degree. It's conditioning.
Especially like, I don't know if this is unique to South Asians, but any culture that like, strives to achieve, like get the good grade, get the number, chase the number. Right. So this is like your grade essentially, right? It's like, what did I get on the test today? It's like, I failed.
Yeah. Failure or success.
Right. It's more fixed mindset versus growth mindset. So that's definitely something that takes a lot of deconditioning.
Yeah.
And
something I learned from a guy who works specifically with females. And he was really good. And I was like, what's the secret to having a little bit less body weight focus and more just like size of clothes? And he gave a really interesting tip that we didn't use, but it's more like I'd use for females is normally a lady has the dress that they want to fit into or the thing that promoted them to join or start a fat loss journey, whether it was the bikini with the rolls on the side or they tried to wear a pencil skirt and it didn't look like a pencil. And then getting to the point where trying that on every 2 weeks and seeing how closer you are to feeling more comfortable in it. I thought that was a really useful tip. I haven't thought about that because obviously I don't wear dresses or anything like that. I don't know. Yeah. But I can definitely understand how doing that more frequently allows you to be in a better control because you see things getting a bit tight, better looking, you see the outline or whatever you're doing. And if you start fitting back into that, then almost the scale becomes a secondary priority. The more you practice this, if you do it once every, who wants to try on a dress or a t-shirt or a pair of pants that they might not fit into. That feedback loop is worse than stepping on a scale and seeing 3 pounds up.
Right.
But I do think if you got into the practice or something like that at the beginning, boy, you'd be unstoppable, because you get the feedback of being like, right, we're not there yet, but also it's getting better. I can get it up to my knees, then get it up to my thighs, then get it up my bum, and then get it up to my waist, and then I can lock it off. Then I need a bigger one. Now I need a belt. And like what we've done with Majid is like every single, this guy's lost 60 kilos. Wow. Is like the belt buckles are his progress measure, and his body weight is obviously changing massively. But when he stops losing that weight consistently, or he goes up and down, he's got those belt buckles to look back on and go, well, I need a new belt now, because the punch holes are all the way down to the clasp.
Yeah. That was a great little piece of content. He works in he's like a car mechanic, so they're like using this like hydraulic drill to like poke holes in his belt, and it's
goodness.
it's
that's hilarious.
You can hear him.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But all of these other metrics I think are worth talking about, and body composition over body weight, that like it's just a snapshot in time, that scale weight. There's so many variables that go into that we're not looking at it on a cellular level. We're just seeing this number on a scale. So how do you look? How do you feel? Like, how are you sleeping? All of these other things I think are really, really important.
Yeah. I'd not really asked this question normally, but what are you apprehensive about now in our journey?
Now that this phase is kind of done.
Yeah, like what are you feeling? Because today you've just took pictures upstairs with your top off. You finally learned how to do your bicep pose the right way.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Without standing there looking like you're waiting for a taxi or something like that. Or you started on a magic mic and his hands are like that behind the back. But like, obviously, I've been through it. Sirish has been through it. But, what are you feeling? Today is the day in which you've got dressed up. We've been down the Venetian. We've took loads of pictures. You look like a Mexican.
I said he looked like a Latin pop star. What did I say? Thumbi Iglesias.
Thumbi Iglesias. for those listening, Thumbi means
little brother
and double. Thumbi Iglesias. That's amazing. Only you are allowed to call me that.
I got you.
If someone's watching this now and start screaming out the
Thumbi
window,
Iglesias. Yeah, exactly.
But like you've done that and you've had that feedback loop, and we haven't got the pictures back, but we've seen a few like little glimpses. How do you feel, and what are you apprehensive about?
So I think, and Nathan, you know this already, because this like transformation was so rapid, it hasn't set into me how I look. So even up until like last night, I'm taking progress pictures. It's kind of like my eyes see something different than everyone else. Like even like that selfie I posted this morning on my Instagram, everyone's like, you look like a new person. You look like, but like in my mind, I still see this dude with like a gut and kind of a chubbier face and whatnot, because I don't think my psychology is caught up to my physicality. So that's one mind fuck, so to speak. Then the apprehension is, okay, now I've reached this goal, allegedly. And because I just like, I hadn't settled in yet. How do I not fuck it up now? Like, how do I keep this? Because you hear so often, oh, so-and-so lost 50 pounds, then they reached that goal, and then they put that 50 pounds back on because they reached that goal, and then now they think they can eat deep dish every day, or they can eat, whatever it is every day, because they've reached that goal, and they're like, all right, I'm there. And they think they can do whatever they want. So I don't want to fall into that trap where I'm like, okay, I've reached this, now I can go and I don't know, have my espresso martini and my Cracker Barrel. Interesting combination, but I do have certain things that I enjoy that I've given up for this journey, that I know that those certain things that I gave up were not in my best interest to reach this journey, which is why I gave them up. And I don't want to be like, okay, I've reached a certain point. Now I can have one espresso martini this weekend, and then that turns into two, or like, I can eat at this Italian restaurant, have naan and chicken curry tonight. And then next thing you know, 5 times a week, I'm eating Uber Eats again. Like I want to make sure, my apprehension is that I don't stay as disciplined as I have these last 4 months.
Did you say you get naan and chicken curry at an Italian restaurant, or did I miss that?
No. Italian restaurant
Is that Batista's? Is that what they do at that Batista's on Vegas Strip?
Oh man, we got to go there tomorrow.
Yeah, let's do that.
But I like good food too. I mean, so it's just one of those things I have to make sure I stay disciplined.
Yeah, it's the apprehension of gaining it back, but also the anticipation of bringing things back in that you've had, that you want to bring back in. But there's also then the next layer, which is, if I bring those things back in, is it going to then set me back? But then in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, if I don't put these back in, I'm going to want them anyway. So it's like there's this middle ground, right?
Or I'll miss out on just like normal life stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and here's the thing is, where I sit right now is, I think right now I'm my best fucking self I've ever been. Yeah. And it's like mind's headspace, my body, everything. I don't think I've ever reached this level, and I don't want to change that ever. But I'm like, but what I've been doing for 4 months is not sustainable. Like,
right. But no diet ever is. But this psychology is, people think they get to avoid it if they go slower. So like whether you do rapid fat loss or you do slow as a snail, everyone feels this exact same way. They just don't know what to do with it. Because there is a new place that you've got something to lose right now. It's like, what do they say in my basketball analogies is like the hardest championship to win is the one after where you've won it already.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the doopy or whatever you call it. So you have something to lose right now, but you have a lifestyle that you want to lead, and the process is not exactly the same.
Right.
So it's about integrating those things back in a way where it doesn't compromise the end, the feeling, the drive, the desire, the way that your makeup right is now in your day-to-day actions, but at the same time is making sure that you're not a recluse and a hermit, or even just like not doing things for no reason. So I think there's always that case, and I think even just like I said, even if you go at a slow fat loss and you're there for 20 weeks, or you're there for 50 weeks, or you're there for 2 years trying to get 10 pounds off, 20 pounds off, there always comes a transition from dieting to maintenance, or the dieting to your next goals, that if you don't manage carefully, it's a psychological flip, not a, I'm just going to do what I'm doing.
Right.
So I think the easiest thing to do right now is, the way that you work toward the deadline on that, today, is you reset that, but with no body compositional goals. So we talk about it on our next phase. What you're going to go through is like the anti-yo-yo phase. We did that. There's some videos coming out where we redid our 6 phases that we've got and brought them down to 3. But we're going to go through the anti-yo-yo phase. And one of the anti-yo-yo phases parameters is that you have non-body compositional goals. Okay. So that happens by proxy, right? So like if you had aim for, you need to find a goal that in the process of attaining that goal, you will then still get the goals that you want.
Okay.
So for example, like you want to be an NBA champion, you want to have a ring, but you're 10 years old. By proxy of aiming towards having a ring at 10 years old, you're going to get into the NBA. Versus you see the players that get into the NBA, but the only goal is to get in the NBA. They reach that end goal, and then you get fat like Zion.
Yeah.
And then you end up like being distorted when you get there. It's about setting that next goal so that by proxy things happen because of it.
Right.
So that strength goals, that's muscle tissue, that's learning a new skill. Mine's golf. Whatever it is from a physical activity perspective that keeps your life in check to still work towards something.
Absolutely.
I think that's
choose a game that you can play forever.
I signed up for a Tough Mudder.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
I did in Austin.
You'll either love it or you'll hate it. Yeah. But it's try different things and try to find that thing that's like, oh, I want to get better at this. I suck at this right now, but I don't even care that I suck at it. I just enjoyed it. Now, whether that's pickleball or jiu-jitsu or whatever it is, like chasing performance, chasing strength, I think is probably one of the most sustainable ways to do this. Having that long-term goal that, you may never be able to bench press 350 pounds, but it's like, what is that quote? Reach for the stars, and if you fall, then you'll land on a cloud. So you'll get close.
I'll say this much. I mean, I don't have a 6-pack now, but when I started this, I like so desperately wanted a 6-pack. Now I really don't care if I get one or not. I mean, it'd be cool, but like I'm just so in love with like the journey and process Now, I fell in love with the process, right? Initially I had a goal, then I fell in love with the process, and now I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and that's how I've always been with, like, you know, you just wake up every morning and be better than you were the day before.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know?
And the funny thing about falling in love with something is that you have to fully commit to it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you're swiping on Tinder, you know, versus, well, you know, being on matchmakers, but like the game is that if you fully commit to something, you get the full benefits from it.
Yeah.
And you did that, and therefore you've now got this thing that you've chased something, and in return for chasing this thing and committing fully to this, you actually got the real goal.
Yeah.
And that's what normally happens with us. It's like the direction that we take people is like everyone comes in and like, I want to be a size 8, I want to be 60 kilos, I want to have a 6-pack. And, you know, we in our team meetings, we're like, how do we get to this person to understand that they actually want something completely different, because they're showing all of these things. We call like the things like the curse of the 10 kilos or these things where people say they want this, but they get to here and then they find something else that they actually really want to do. Mm-hmm. And then it's about diverting in the right way. So you've got the benefits of everything without the visual thing that doesn't really matter anyway.
Yeah.
Like I've had a 6-pack, look fairly decent in shape. And like I said to you yesterday, when you're like, I just want to go on some dates, man. Yeah. I was like, actually, the thing is most girls would not want you when you're in the leanest shape possible. I've been on more dates, more successful dates, when I've been in moderate shape, looking good, as opposed to being absolutely shredded off my gills. And, you know, just get more attraction from guys. It's just not my goal. Yeah, or maybe maybe they're saying I'm gay on Reddit. You know, I don't know.
They are. Yeah.
Well, Autonomy an internet term.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
subreddit to mine.
Check out this guy's trainer.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I can't wait for the day. Yeah.
Oh God.
Well, there's always those magazine stuff. It's like, check out what's the guy, the big Bollywood star, the one that we spoke about.
Shah Rukh Khan.
Yeah, it's like check out the workout routine from Shah Rukh Khan's trainer. I know the guy. His name's Lloyd, and it's like then Lloyd gets a full feature on it.
Wait, is Lloyd a white guy?
Yeah.
Behind every
successful Asian,
behind every sexy Indian male body, there is a white man.
Yeah,
it's Kumail Nanjiani's.
Kumail Nanjiani, probably a white trainer.
Yeah. That talk about transformation.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. Yeah. There you go.
There's all the successful white guys behind him.
Yeah,
I'll take that one.
Oh man.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think there's some really good lessons there. So, you got any more questions for the big dog?
I guess like one thing that we kind of had an interesting conversation a week ago in London, talking about like the different South Asian like kind of subcultures, like South Asians in the UK, South Asians in India, obviously South Asians in South Asia,
Indians in India,
and Indians in India,
It's not Jackson Heights,
not Jackson Heights, not Hicksville, not Edison, New Jersey, but and like Indians in America, and just kind of culturally how things are different, maybe like how Indian are you, like growing up, I don't know that Indian was like necessarily an option to be in school. You had to almost like pick, like you're gonna be with the white kids or the black kids, and you got to kind of have to pick a side. Indian wasn't really an identity. And like one of the themes that we talked about on this conversation, this podcast, is around identity and things like that. So how was it for you? You grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you think it was growing up for you in that culture, and maybe how do you think things have changed over time now that Indian is maybe a bit more pop culture than it was?
Yeah, and I would say the Indian being pop culture thing is so recent. And I moved to Chicago very recently, and I've really only been exposed to bigger cities very recently. I mean, born and raised in Ohio, and spent majority of my adulthood in western South Dakota. And so, I mean, talk about just not having an identity. I mean, the racism was so unique in South Dakota specifically is they didn't even know how to racially abuse him.
Yeah.
They're like, is he Mexican? Is he Persian? Is he Indian?
Yeah.
They would just look at me and be like, what direction do we go with this guy?
Who are you?
Yeah,
What are you?
I mean, I'd get horrible racism, which was just really, really bad, to like straight up stupid racism. Like, you know, one guy would be like,
Tell us some good ones.
oh God, I've got two very good stupid racist stories.
I can't wait.
Because we don't need to get into the dark stuff, but the stupid ones are, one guy I remember. I was in Fort Pierce, South Dakota. I was working for the Attorney General's office there, and I just got on a bus to, after the bars closed, they had this thing called everyone called it the drunk bus, but that's where you just go and they drop you off at your place so that you didn't have to drive. So I got on there. Some cowboy looks at me. He's like, I hope he's not here to blow this bus up. So when I walked up to him, I was like, what am I, this low self-esteem terrorist? Come to Fort Pierce, South Dakota to blow you up? I'm like, yeah, exactly. It's like,
we'll hit him when it really hurts.
Why don't we take a Spirit flight to Schenectady? I mean, it's like, no one's going to care if I came here and did any harm here. I mean, it was just, why? I had people come up to me like, I hate Arabians. I'm like, there's no country called Arabia. I mean, I'm like, what is this, what am I, Latin? Like, so it's like that's like some of the, and plus,
who doesn't like Aladdin?
I don't know, Aladdin's pretty dope, right? And he got a really cute girl.
You didn't have a carpet in your hand, did you?
Monkey,
You didn't have a carpet in your hand.
A flying carpet, a little monkey to talk to him. Yeah.
I mean, some stuff. And I think when I was a kid, I remember when I was in like the second grade, my mom packed me yogurt rice and potato curry, classic, amazing South Indian food. And I get to school and it was just like, man, was I traumatized by all the kids around me being like, Shaker's food smells. And then next thing you know, the whole cafeteria is like, on my case. But now it's like when someone's like, again, in South Dakota, someone's like, go eat curry. And I'm like, yeah, it's a fantastic idea.
This racism is improved.
Yeah, the
I'm quite hungry, actually. Good idea.
Yeah.
So I guess
go have a delicious meal.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Thanks.
So we've come a long way, and of course, Chicago's like, I think something like 13% of Cook County calls South Asia their ancestral roots. So I mean, Chicago's very densely Indian, Pakistani, So I think things have changed quite a bit, but we still have a long way to go. And, programs like this are great because I think South Asians largely haven't figured out the secret sauce to our diet and regimen, right? I mean, we work our tails off, but that gut, it just lingers. And
I used to say, because at one point I was definitely skinny fat, and the thing that I would say is like, yeah, it's the worst kind of skinny, but the best kind of fat, But like now I know that's actually not true. Like actually skinny fat is probably the worst of both worlds, because like you get that visceral fat, right? Like that really, like that fat around your organs. That's, we don't have to go down that road in this podcast, but really, really bad body type.
Because the reason why we spoke about this topic was because we had the UK event.
Okay.
And we were watching some of the testimonials that some of the clients, and we were drinking champagne, and then we just got into this really deep conversation, because obviously I've been working with the South Asian community now maybe 6 to 7 years now.
Yeah.
And I've only worked majority with UK-based South Asians. Only recently have we explored the realms of America, Kenya, Australia. And for me, when Sirish used to talk about his, growing up and the food styles and the cultural norms, they were completely different when I experienced with my clients. So like when you were growing up and when you were like at university, was there a high allegiance to like the South Asian food? Was it an absolute necessary? Like, how was that in terms of that dynamic?
Yeah, I don't think it was as necessary, at least for me and my friend group. I mean, I love Indian food. I particularly love South Indian food. It's just, it feels like home for me. But I don't think any of my friends were like, we have to have Indian Pakistani food every day
Yeah.
or 3 meals a day. It's not that like we love it. We grew up with it. But even my parents, like they don't eat rice anymore. They eat like quinoa with their Indian food. I mean, it's I think it's not as emphasized.
Yeah, because that's what I was shocked about. Because from what my experience was, is like majority of the families in the UK, 3 to 5 times a week, South Asian food, one takeaway, one dinner out, and there was always this like necessity for like the rotis and the dals and the rices, and that was like bred into, that's what they need to have on a day-to-day basis. Whereas speak to Sirish, she's like, yeah, we're Mexican all the time, or we're different.
Yeah, we definitely switch it up. I think after moving out of my parents' house at like age 18 or whatever, whenever you go to college, like that's really what unless I was going back home, very rarely was I eating Indian food. Yeah, and it's like kind of flipped like in the UK, where it's like you have Indian food like 6 days a week, and that one day a week you're eating some other cuisine, and it's a lot more. I don't know. In that way, I felt like UK was like more Indian, and that cultural identity, at least around food and maybe outside of food as well, was like so much in the community and the culture. And then plus, like, you just see so many more Indian restaurants and Indian things like everywhere. I mean, their national food now is curry, right? Yeah, so like it's different. It's like, so if you're that little kid bringing curry to school, you're not going to be made fun of. It's like, oh, can I have some of that? Versus me, I was begging my mom for a bologna sandwich. Same. I want to smell like little Eric here. Like,
right.
So
right.
Dude,
100%. It was me and I'm sorry.
Go.
I was just saying, in my elementary school, it was me and a Sikh Punjabi kid, just 2 of us, and he had a patka, like a turban.
Yeah.
And people still managed to get us mixed up.
That is crazy, dude. That is crazy.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it's the when you said that, do you think it's the role of you guys going to college in outside of your home that creates this quicker shift? Because in the UK, from the majority of the South Asian community that I'm aware of, is that they will leave the family home once they're married. So therefore they have a longer exposure to mumsy cooking food on a day-to-day basis.
Could be.
And therefore, if you're going away at 18, they probably got 10 years on you before they do that.
Yeah.
Of mumsy's cooking. So therefore, it's 28, 25, 32 years of the good at home.
Yeah. Plus, like, I think it's also like the access to it, right? Unless, like, don't get me wrong, my mom would send me with like 2 suitcases full of like Indian food.
My folks still do.
Yeah. But it would like literally, it would only like last a week, because like, my friends, once they smelt that good, like that shit was gone in a second.
Oh yeah.
But like when you're going to, the food hall, the cafeteria or whatever, it might have changed now, but there was no Indian food option, like, so that's where you're getting your Mexican food, your even Chinese food, or like, all these other cuisines, but you're not, readily having access to Indian food. So in that way, I don't know. Like, I do think, part of it is the access, and the other part maybe is like this deep-seated conditioning of like, oh, I don't know if this is fair to say, but I growing up up to a certain point, I was like almost like embarrassed, right? When my friends would come home, and it was like your whole vibe in those days, and maybe even now, is like to be accepted, right, by your friend group or whatever it was. And then when your friends will come over, and like my parents are eating with their hands, and it's like, no, I worked so hard to get these friends. Like I can't, they can't see this, they're going to think we're animals or like whatever. And like, I feel so bad about it now, but back then that's what I was thinking about. So it's like, to fit in, you're like, a big part of culture is food, right? Mm-hmm. So
now you take a knife and fork everywhere you go.
Yeah, exactly. I can't take any chances.
Mom, use these. Do you what was I going to say? We spoke about it, but do you think there's like a bit of a U-turn happening in the US with the Asian food and the cultural exceptions and stuff like that? Because we mentioned how it's more like acceptable to be from India, and it's becoming cool again. Do you think there's going to be like a bit of a pivot towards getting back into having mum's cookings and reliving all that type of stuff?
What do you think, Shekar?
I think so. I mean, I think I see it with my nieces and nephews. Like, it's not even a discussion.
Yeah.
They take Indian. My sister and I were actually talking about this the other day. My nieces and nephews actually take Indian food every day. To lunch, and they think it's weird that we insisted on taking peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you want batis?
Yeah.
You know, like,
dude, that's
cooking.
progress, man. That is progress. Yeah.
I think it's the UK's Indian community is way older.
Yeah.
Than the United States.
Yep.
Like, we've only been here for largely. I know immigration to California and the West Coast since the 1800s, but in the limelight, it's only been 50 years. Our parents' generation coming here versus the UK, that they've been there for 5-6 generations.
That makes so much sense.
Plus, the British being in India and actually being exposed to those foods and the cultures, then, even when that emigration happened, it's just like it was already like, oh yeah, we know that shit.
Yeah. Versus here, they're like, huh?
What is that?
Right.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yogurt and rice.
Yeah.
I remember people, I'd tell people I ate yogurt rice. They'd be like, wait, they thought flavored yogurt, like strawberry yogurt and rice.
Yeah. That was me 7 years ago.
They're like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
My first exposure of obviously I'd get I've worked with corporate dudes and girls for like the first 5 to 6 years, and rugby players, right? Sure. I look through people's nutrition plans and I'm like, fucking hell, you're eating like a 6-year-old, whatever, like you're eating these like, whatever, these wraps and chicken nuggets and whatever. And then I remember my first ever like meal, like diary that I got from a South Asian client. I was like, are they having, because I was eating like yogurt at the same time, but the strawberry Alpro stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm eating this yogurt going, is he having this with rice and veggies? I was back, I was like, what flavour was the yogurt? And he goes, what do you mean? I was like, what flavour was the yogurt? And he was like, no, it's just normal yogurt. And I was like, you have normal yogurt with rice? Like, what happened? Why'd you do that? And he's like, dude, like, everyone does it. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe let me go and do some research. I was like, oh, it makes sense now. And then every time, because I used to go to Indian restaurants, but I used to think that was the mayo. I used to thought that was.
Don't they put mayonnaise in the rice?
That's even
like,
weirder.
No, do you know what on the table?
That's a lot of mayo.
That's randomly normal.
That's a lot of mayo.
But that's what it was. I thought, when they put it on the table, I thought it was like the ketchup, the condiments. So I thought, oh, where's the hot sauce? He's like, the tomato ketchup, the mayo, and the hot sauce. And I was like, oh, so it's not mayo that they put on. So I learned a lot from being really gullible and just very open.
That is amazing, bro. I've never heard that. I've never heard
I've got so many stories where if the clients who I like said those things to were not like understanding that I was just an idiot. I didn't know at that moment. No, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like he's asking a really like obvious question that no one really asks.
Yeah. But it's not obvious, right? And that's the thing is, I think in the US, Indian cultures are becoming a little bit more obvious. But we grew up in the late 80s, 90s, and nothing was obvious about, what we were doing.
There's nothing on TV that that people could be like, oh yeah, I saw that on, this show. Now that's changing. Yeah. And we have access to, TV around the world and cultures around the world. So I think, there is more baseline education there.
I mean, I grew up in Southwest Ohio. We would drive 50 minutes just to go to a dinner party. Yeah. Like that's how desperate we were for community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
so it's not obvious to have rice and yogurt in Ohio. Now it might be. Yeah. But it wasn't then.
Yeah, no, this is bringing back like so many like memories and stories. I'm like, I remember, I think I had like, we were having like biryani or something, one day, and I was like in elementary school, and whoever the friend was that came over, he's just like, just almost like looked like a little scared. And then like the next day at school, I'm like, yeah, they eat like leaves off of the trees and like little sticks. There's like little sticks in there. They're like, I was just like, this fucking guy, man. It's like the curry leaves and I mean, a biryani is a little bit of a landmine. I mean, let's to be fair, like there's a lot of obstacles that to get to the good stuff, but you
had to like search for the chicken meat.
Yeah. Like it's
I love that conversation. But dude, thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
This is so much fun.
So
man.
much fun.
Yeah, this is great.
We could do this for hours.
Yeah, just make Indian food great again. That's all we're saying.
Start with yogurt, mayonnaise, rice.
Yeah, that's not. That, please don't let that catch on.
It won't. Don't worry.
No, it's my privilege, man.
It's been amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother.